Good afternoon, students. This is Professor Estrada with a Week 1 video lecture. Welcome to the class. This is American Literature Online. This is where we're going to start. I'm going to go ahead and show you all the navigational tools on what you would need for Brightspace. So Brightspace is the platform that we will be utilizing and bringing content into the course. This is your go-to. This is the homepage. This is where you will see everything from announcements to due dates to everything that you could possibly need to contact me as well. So notice that there's always going to be this blue bar up here. Your blue bar is going to be very different from mine, but the main button that I would like you to always look at is content and grades. So content and then grades if you have it. But this is your welcome banner. It tells you that it is an online class, so it's 100% online. No textbook needed. Everything that you could possibly need will be right here in Brightspace. I'm a very avid person. I like to be communicative with you. So anything that's ongoing, whether it's due dates, whether it's a recap of a week, or anything that you would possibly need, announcements are right here. I tend to write a lot, so bear with me on that. It's just because it is self-paced for a lot of people, but it's also really good to say, well, I haven't checked in a couple days. What are we doing in week 1? Or if something hypothetically gets moved, or if there's an extra credit opportunity not listed and it can be found here. And so one of the things that I will want to show you is this is my contact information. You're more than welcome to look at this. I do have office hours. They're posted as an in-person on the Hillsborough campus. They can be found in the syllabus and in a lot of other places. But one of the things that I want to show you is a misconception that we'll go ahead and show you right now. But there's always going to be a work to do. Now, the semester content is divided into weekly folders, week 1, week 2, week 3. And in those folders, you'll have part 1, part 2. This is as if we were to meet Tuesday and a Thursday. So that would be week 1, part 1, week 2, part 1, week 1, part 2, and so forth. So while there is work to do here, always refer to the syllabus due date. So while a calendar, I'll go ahead and zoom out. While a calendar may say these due dates, always refer to what the syllabus says. So for me, one of the things that I will mention, and I'll go into this within the syllabus as well, is while we open up the class a Monday morning at 8 o'clock through a Sunday night at 11:59, I do allow you extra days to turn in stuff. So while our due date may be a Sunday at 11:59, each day after that, I do allow you to turn in stuff. That is where the submission module may give you extra days. So always refer to the date that is listed. So while this is really good, I will always suggest to go to the content page, which we're about to go to and start the class. And you will go into the folder. A good suggestion is to always look at what the content is instead of just diving into the assignments, because then there's lecture slides, there's videos, there's things that you need to do before the actual assignments themselves. And so it is just being acquainted, a little bit of announcements. So there's widgets right here. You're more than welcome to look at those. But let's dive right in so that you see that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the content page. So these are the things that I opened up early for you. So now you should be able to see a lot of them. There is a welcome to the class tab. So you will have to click on the tabs for it to open. So if I click on it again, it closes. So you have to open it. There is a little intro video that I made. It's just to have you go in and look around. The simple syllabus itself is also a cool tool. It allows you to see the syllabus in real time, but also I made it available as a PDF, so you're more than welcome to do that. So I made the little video here so you can go in at any time and just look at that video. But this is the course syllabus itself. Right here on the left side tab, I opened it up and it automatically said, this is where you'll find the course syllabus. This is where the direct link to simple syllabus is, but also the actual course calendar. So without the syllabus, it's just the calendar at a glance, if it decides to do it. And it just shows you what you're doing week by week, date by date, so that you're not overwhelmed and you get to look at it at a glance. So once it decides to show that, it'll do that. But right here is the go-to website for the syllabus. There you go. Here it is. A little bit about that. So we can go ahead and go into the syllabus. You're more than welcome to look at it at any time. Let me pull this up real quick. I was not prepared for that. But let me go ahead and show you what the syllabus looks like. I'm trying to type on my own. Okay, so I'm pulling up the syllabus. I should have had this ready. I apologize for that. So you can see the syllabus on your end as well through Simple Syllabus, but also through the course calendar. So this is syllabus. At any time, you're more than welcome to refer to it. I have my email right here. We are English 2327 American Lit first section, and this is an online class. These are my office hours for an in-person Hillsborough campus. You're more than welcome to communicate with me at any time, whether it's through email or even if you're just on campus. Course catalog for this is students in this class will acquaint themselves with the writings and writers of early America, colonial period, going into 1860, which is World War. And we'll be looking at all these things in comparison to the period at that time, the significance of the works and text, but also a little bit of why it was used through politics, philosophy, religion, what was going through the landscape, what was going through this idea of exploration and self-individualism, spirituality. All of this stuff coincided within an 8-week course, and it is an 8-week online course. You're more than welcome to go through the core objectives and understanding. There is no assigned textbook for this class. Everything that you could possibly need would be within Brightspace. I will suggest, because it's an online class, for you to take your time with it. It's not going to be opened up all at once. The content that you will need for week 1 will always be found early in week 1 or week 2, but not everything is going to be open at once, and not everything will be due at one time. But because it's an online class, take your time with this. I would suggest maybe an hour or two each day, just because of the load that it will take, as we're not meeting in class. This goes around with the communication of having that connection with the teacher and being able to reach out to me at any time. But use your time wisely. Go to a computer, go to a coffee shop, spend time by yourself and writing down with a calendar or a planner what it is that you will need per each class and what that class will consist of. I would say a laptop, a working laptop with internet is a must, a notebook or a folder, something to put papers in if you need those. And just making sure to give time for yourself. We will need to have access to internet because you will be using Brightspace on a daily. And to communicate with me, simply reach out to me through your student account. You are more than also to welcome emailing me through your course. I flipped open the course again. And right here, this little button, you are more than welcome to instant message me at any time or use the email. But as always, you can also send me an email through your student account. I tend to not open up anything that if it's sent through Hotmail, Yahoo, anything like that. So please always refer to your student proper account and making sure that you utilize proper etiquette when it comes to emailing, which means that I won't respond to anything that is just unprofessional, but also make sure that you are sending me your course name, but also its section, as I teach multiple sections. One section may be on week 3 with a different due date than you, but also you may be having the same first name as somebody else. For example, I might teach 4 Jessicas, and if you don't tell me which Jessica you are, this is rather confusing. But always, if you can, practice proper etiquette. But I also teach multiple sections, which means that sometimes my answers or replies are not instantaneous. Please allow me that grace. I do teach multiple classes online, in person, many of them which do take up time. So oftentimes if you're emailing me in the morning, I tend to email a little bit later as soon as I can. If it's the weekend, I try to be as constant. Whenever it comes down to a due date, I'd like to be right there. But please, let's practice that. We will need access to Microsoft Word or a format that you are able to write an essay or writing assignment, so of which a platform is always accessible to you. Through your student account, you are given access to Office 365. This allows you the accessibility of PowerPoint, Excel, and Microsoft Word. Feel free to use those at your leisure. If you need help on guiding those, feel free to let me know and I can show you how to work that. Okay? Because of things prior in the past, if a submission folder or an assignment requires you to submit it there, please do so. My syllabus will say right here that I do not accept email attachments or photo attachments or web links through an email as proof of a submission of an assignment. So please let us render to that. If I cannot access it, I cannot grade it. Attendance policy: if you miss more than 4 combined weeks of the class, you will not be able to pass. Since all the material is not posted all at once, you are responsible for what's available during that time, which means that at any point, if you log in for a couple of minutes in week 1, that counts as logging in as an attendance. If you don't log in within week 1, as I have settings that show me if you logged in between January 21st through January 28th, however long week 1 runs, as the course calendar would dictate, I go into there. If you're not logging in and doing the stuff, submitting assignments, putting in content, then it allows me to say that that whole week was not there for you. Because we're an online course, I also like to go ahead and consider the fact that at some time, breaks need to happen for conferences. This would also be ideal if we were an in-person class. I set aside time in class. We don't have class. We just meet for optional student conference. I also set this up within the calendar itself for this online class. It's not vital. It's not required. It's just simply if you ever during that time would like to set up an afternoon or morning video conference with me and we just talk about your student outcome of success, your grades, or any questions that you have in relation to the class as it falls within a conference, feel free to reach out to me. Again, you are more than welcome to email me at any time. But if in fact a Tuesday at 5 o'clock for an hour, you just want to talk about something that you're not really understanding, feel free to let me know and we can always schedule that. It will be through Outlook, Zoom, and then I'll take part of my day. Show respect because this is an online class. I do expect you to have courtesy and grace and understanding to those that are in the class. We all come from different walks of life. We're all learners and readers of the classroom. So while some of us are traditional, some of us aren't. And so I just ask that you respect those with nice language and politeness. All of our writing assignments will be submitted through Brightspace. Everything that you could possibly need will be uploaded in those modules and nowhere else. And because we only write one essay in the class, it will be submitted through Brightspace in its respected folder. And with the understanding that if it is a research paper, it may require research. It may require a works cited page. If it asks or requires a works cited page and it does not have one, it will be given a 0. Okay. One of the things that I want to express, this is also a separate module within Brightspace. Let me go ahead and show you that. Its own separate module because it's that important for me. But one of the things that I will say is just kind of going over this real quick on this section, that every semester is often met with challenges. Sometimes life happens. Sometimes you cannot simply just turn in something on the day that it's due at that moment. We give a whole week to complete something within a week 1 folder, and there's a quiz or a discussion board that you forgot to do or you didn't have time. And instead of being graded late for it, I do grant extensions. It's just a simple way of saying a late pass. And so it says, twice this semester, I give you a late pass to work on an assignment. It can be used on any assignment except the last ones, which are the essay and the final exam, without a late grade penalty. So if something is due on a Sunday night and you turn in Monday morning, I have to take off points and deduct for lateness. But using a late pass, going into that, I do not look at it. I don't count it late up to 48 hours late. So for example, if you have a writing assignment due on a Monday night, I will give you up to 48 hours to submit it without marking it late. Upon applying for that late pass, I simply send you back a confirmation on when your due date is different. Mind you, while everybody else's due date may be week 1 for quiz 1, and I allow you a due date extension for quiz 1, your quiz 1 will be due 2 days later. So you always refer back to that. But I only give you 2. So really consider what you would like those assignments for. Oftentimes, throughout the semester, I may afford extra ones that are not listed, but every student starts off with a slate of 2 late passes. To apply for a late pass, and this is also stated somewhere in the module in Brightspace, that you just simply send me an email saying, Ms. Estrada, I would like to use late pass number 1 or late pass number 2, depending on which one you're using, for whatever assignment. One assignment per late pass. Okay. And in turn, I email you your new due date. I tell you when it's due. I tell you how to submit it or where it goes. This has to be done by 10 o'clock on the day it is due. So if everything is due on a Sunday by 11:59, that late pass needs to be sent to me on that day by 10 o'clock. Okay. So right here, I even go into the Brightspace module, late pass policy. I even give you an example email of how it looks like. Hi, Professor Estrada. This is so-and-so. I wanted to reach out to let you know I will be using my late pass for whatever the assignment is. You get to do it for any 2 assignments, except the ones that are later in the course. But as always, late work is always encouraged. If you forget to use one, or you forgot the late pass policy, or you forgot to turn in on time, please, as always, late work is encouraged. Late work is better than no work. So even if you have a 75 on one of your quizzes, it's just 1 or 2 things that you forgot to do. But as soon as that due date is closed for Sunday at 11:59 or Monday, whatever the closing date is, I just deduct points. So always refer to that. But even with that, there are opportunities for extra credits to be afforded back to you in the exchange of low grades. So I just wanted to reiterate that for you so that way you have it. It is right here. So going into the tab, I clicked on the late pass policy and it's already opened up, so that way you have it. At any point, if you need that, it is there for you. I'm going to go back into my syllabus. Now, we do peer review in a different way, in a different setting, as if we were to do it in class. In class, we would have a workshop and everybody would have drafts. Peer review, on the other hand, for an individual or someone online, we would have modules set up so that you could either look at your own essay individually and reflect on that with questions as a self-evaluation, or through the process of other people looking at yours. But we do understand the importance of peer review as it goes into the writing process of any research paper, as we look at sharpening our polishing skills, looking at steps and how we can perfect an academic paper. This is my grade determination for this class. We'll have a couple of unit exams. We have submitted work, which is online work, anything that is not a discussion board. We have an analytical essay and its annotated bibliography. And those 2 right there are a good chunk of the course, but we do spend time looking at that and making sure that if you have questions early on, that I can assist you with it. And notice that peer review is also part of that. And then the course grade. Feel free to look at any of this at any time. This is for your understanding. This is how we grade. This is how the course will be evaluated. This is the tentative outline for the assignments. We're going to be going into the colonial period. We're going to be going into the neoclassical period, going into the romantic period. Some or all or a few of these authors may be used exclusively through lecture videos, lecture slides, the actual works themselves, going into PDFs and resources that you can find in Brightspace, and or they can be explored in different formats that you don't see. So while we go into specific ones, looking at them specifically within that folder, sometimes it is differently looked at. So this is the course calendar. This is also something that you can see in Brightspace. I just opened it up and made it all pretty for you. So notice that the course calendar is subject to change at the expense of what's happening. So because this is an online class, everything opens up on January 20th, which is, today is the 19th, which is tomorrow. If you're seeing this, this is Monday, January 20th through Sunday, January 25th. So everything in the week 1, part 1, and everything in the week 1, part 2 is due that week. So everything will be due Sunday, January 25th at 11:59. But not only are you allowed late passes, 2 per semester, you are also welcome to turn in things late. So let's just say, for example, just taking a glance, let's just say, oh, there's an icebreaker discussion board. Well, what if I don't do that on Sunday, January 25th, but I know I need to do it? You can go ahead and do it Monday or Tuesday. I just deduct points. So at a glance, this is what's in the course calendar for week 1. Notice that it'll tell you within the course calendar the week that it goes into, for the week 1, part 1, and part 2. So like I said before, it is sectioned off into part 1 and part 2. It tells you lecture slides. If there's lecture slides, it will discuss spotlight authors, maybe a movement if we're going into the movements. It tells you the assignments and the due dates. So whenever we get to the readings, you'll often see the readings and early reminders for that. And so part 1 and part 2 of week 1 will be due Sunday, January 25th. And that's just the calendar. Let me go ahead and go into the actual folder. So here in a minute, I'm going to open this up so that way you're able to see this. Whenever it looks like this, it just says it's hidden from students. But because you'll be seeing this tomorrow, this will be open for you. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And I simply had to click on the module itself, week 1. Okay. And it opens up everything that you could possibly need for the week. And I went ahead and I opened it up and I wrote down detailed how you will look at this. So how it is formatted right here, it should be the same way, almost true in that same order. So if it says welcome to week 1 folder, part 1, you will see the lecture slides, everything down to a cinch. So we're going to review our lecture slides week 1. There is a discussion board for you to introduce yourself to the class, get to know each other, a Walt Whitman biography video, a Walt Whitman writing activity submission. You're going to be reading A Song of Myself, only the first 3 stanzas of Walt Whitman. I Hear America Singing, also by Walt Whitman. And after you read those 2 poems, there is a discussion board, Dear Walt Whitman. And notice that the discussion boards, while we're saying discussion board number 1, discussion board number 2 gets very tedious, I just simply shorten them to say DB1, DB2, DB3. And then also a resource that will help you. Here in a minute, I'll show you what that is. But for a discussion board or a writing assignment, it may require a certain amount of words, certain amount of sentences. And so it just counts your words for you, just like Microsoft Word would. And you're able to use that as a resource. So notice, just like the course calendar says, that the due date for week 1 content is Sunday, January 25th. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I mean by that. So the due date for the calendar for all of this is Sunday, January 25th. What I mean when I say that the calendar, I mean that the actual homepage calendar, because I also added the 4 days that someone may be able to turn in something late, will always have an extra day. So please always look at this, but don't look at this as intently, because it'll say different due dates for work to do or calendar. Somewhere on here, some of those due dates may say just the last possible day that you can turn in something, but its actual submission due date will always be usually a Sunday at 11:59 for any and almost all assignments, except maybe a very few in rare cases. But usually everything in here has a due date of Sunday, January 25th in the week 1 folder at 11:59. But because you're also able to turn in stuff late, I do add those extra days somewhere in here, and sometimes it gets mixed up. So even if you turn in something Tuesday, January 27th, I'll take off points because the actual due date is that. So I wouldn't want you to always confuse yourself. So the calendar is just in reference to whatever is usually right here. Always refer to the due dates. Okay. So at a glance, this is what's in the week 1 folder. We have the lecture slides. Mind you, this should be available for you at any time, so you're more than welcome to not look at that. We have the icebreaker discussion board, the Walt Whitman biography, the Walt Whitman writing assignment, the 2 poems, discussion board number 1 of Walt Whitman, and the word count link. So because this video encompasses week 1, part 1, and part 2, this video is a little long, and I do apologize for that. So here are the lecture slides for our beautiful class for week 1, part 1. And if it were a traditional setting, this would be blown up on the classroom and we would look at this. This is a course overview. This is section 2327, section 62, 100% online, week 1. And so just like I said in the syllabus, this is the catalog description, the core objectives for the class. Objectives for week 1, day 1. So minding the idea that if we were to see each other twice a day, this is just the first lecture slides. Introduction, welcome to the class. Welcome. Review the syllabus. We've already done that. and navigation of Brightspace and Hill College, email, and the introduction of the folder. So just like I said, everything that we're going to need is going to be going through the format of Brightspace, and everything that is in Brightspace we use for our class. Okay, and just like I said, as an overview, to communicate with me, please make sure that you are using the proper etiquette of email and your folder. Okay, and so just like I said before, this is what's in the week 1, day 1 folder with that exact same due date. Okay, this is our first discussion board. It is an icebreaker discussion board. Just so that you are aware of how to use a discussion board, you have to click on it, and it just tells you to answer a couple of these questions. You don't have to answer all of them. This should be available to you as soon as I make it available. And then there goes that due date again, Sunday, January 25th at 11:59. Minding you not to look at the calendar itself if it's confusing on the homepage. And so to start a new thread, you just simply start a new thread. You are more than welcome to type your own subject line. You're more than welcome to do that. But if it just simply asks you to answer questions, number, list, format, however you would like to, different font, different colors, however you would like to style it, as long as it's legible for me, you're more than welcome to. So I'm simply writing this in real time so that you're able to see this. It just says test for video. So that way you know that this was me doing this. And then you post. You should be able to see other people's posts and reply to them once it becomes available. Okay, so test for video. And these are just simple questions just to kind of help you introduce yourself, get acquainted to what a discussion board is. If it just says to answer 3 of them, you're more than welcome to. Please say hi if you want to. If I'm able to, I will go back and answer as well. And so the next thing is to open up this biography. It's already open, so you have to click on it. I think it's a YouTube video for you to just simply listen and relax and go into the biography of Walt Whitman. And then after that, going into the assignment for Walt Whitman, let me go ahead and look at this assignment from the instructor's point of view. This is what you will see. It is a writing assignment. After reading Walt Whitman, I would like you to answer the following questions. Some of these assignments will have PDF instructions embedded here. Some of them are just like this. So if there's a text box, you're more than welcome to just open up the text box and open it up like that. And it's just asking you to answer the following questions. You're more than welcome to answer it on a PDF and then reply back and submit it, or even write it in the text box. And notice that due date, Sunday, January 25th. And then we have it this way.
We're here.
I apologize for that if y'all heard a little bit about that. My nephew came in unexpectedly. So we also have the writing assignment. And then there's 2 poems, A Song of Myself and I Hear America Singing. As some of these websites sometimes are wonky with the formatting or web links not working, always reach out to me if one of them doesn't work or it's no longer in service. I can always find an updated one. But for A Song of Myself, I would like you to just read the first 3 stanzas. Stanzas are written usually as paragraph forms. So this one right here is just 1, 2, 3. See? 1, 2, 3. And so I Hear America Singing, the whole poem as well. After reading those poems, there goes another discussion board. Discussion board number 1, Dear Walt Whitman. Okay. And then it says that after you're reading this stanza from a beautiful poem of his, I would like you to reflect on that and answer the following questions. So if it asks you also to make and create your own post, that is where the text box comes in again. Start a new thread. And I'm going to put test for video. And then you are more than welcome to just copy all the questions or just type 1, the number 1, and then your reply. If it's asking for certain sentence requirements, that's where the word count comes in. You're more than welcome to bullet, list, or number. But that's just step 1, creating your own post. And it says it right here, creating your own post. But then it also says to respond to 4 other students. So not only that, I give you the example on how to reply to them if you forgot or you need to know a little example. Hello, so-and-so. This is a great point. I like that you finish out the sentence. And notice that due date. The due date will say Sunday, January 25th. So the majority of all of our assignments will be a Sunday night at 11:59. But you can always turn in stuff late, but with a deduction of 25 points off. So this was my test for my video. I'm simply going to post. And then I'm going in. So this word count link is the last thing within the week 1 part 1 folder. This it's already right here, but it's simply just to count your words for a discussion board. So let's just say that your discussion board needs to fit 100 to 150 words. How do you count those words without you having to individually count them? Some people go ahead and use all their words and just copy and paste from the discussion board and put them in here. Word document does that. Google Docs does that. They already count words, but it's just a resource that you could always go back and refer to. But I leave it right here so that way you can always go to it in the instance that you forgot where it's at. Okay. So notice that this is also encompassing part 2 of week 1. So I had to click on the week 1 folder, part 2, and there goes the extra content for part 2. So in the part 2 folder, we have the lecture slides, and then we get to our readings. Because then we're going to go into the colonial period. There are some readings that I would like you to do. Again, self-paced. Take your time with some of these readings. They are available as PDFs, and if I could, I added the audio for them. But because we're going into colonial period, some of the language is hard language, so I would like you to take your time in absorbing what was happening. So within this folder, week 1, part 2, we have the lecture slides, a video to watch of the colonial period, the General Histories of Virginia by John Smith, Plymouth Plantation by William Bradford, A Model of Christian Charity by John Winthrop, Letter to the Town of Providence, and The Bloody Tenet of Persecution, both by Roger Williams. Our second discussion board, which is Understanding Major Works, and the word count itself. Okay, and then notice that due date. The same due date as week 1, part 1, Sunday, January 25th. So it does say, while the due date may say Thursday, January 25th, it's just simply saying that on the preface of the homepage where it says calendar to do. Always refer to 1, the assignment due date itself, what the syllabus posted, because you are always given extra days to turn in any assignment. I just deduct points. Okay. So at a glance, all of this should be open for you by the time you see this. This is the week 1, part 2 folder. The slides, the readings, and if some of them come with audio, I included the audio, the discussion board, and the word count link. So let me go ahead and let's open up the week 1, part 2 lecture. If it does that for me. And it's taking its sweet time. Okay, while it's loading, oh, there it is. Okay, so this is the lecture for week 1, part 2. It says objectives for week 1, day 2, part 2, however you would like to call it. It tells you that we're going to have a lecture on early American literature, the timeline, the colonial era, and we're going to be looking at the video. So this is what's stated in your content folder. Notice that due date, Sunday, January 25th. So all of these readings and a discussion board. Okay, and so this is the introduction of early American literature. During its early American history, America was a series of British colonies through the United States. However, American literature characteristics and its outcome is now considered a path of historical, monumental, and classic tradition. And we're going to be looking at that. Early American writers acknowledged the allegiance of Britain, but others stressed of the differences that happened during this time of exploration. So they argued questions of government involving church and state. So during this time, religion was heavily practiced. The writings of the 17th century included biographies, treaties, accounts of voyages, and sermons. All 17th century American writings were in the manner of British writings. So during that time, that language was still similar and very evident, prominent during that time that you see thou art the heavy language. Okay, John Smith actually wrote during this time. Bradford echoed the writings of the King James Bible, while Roger Williams practiced prose typical of the day. Okay, and the timeline of the American colonial period, as we get introduced to it, we're going to be looking at writers such as Edward Taylor, Jonathan Edwards, and Bradstreet. So during this time, God and religion permeated all the aspects of your life. It was God, church, state, God, church, state. And during the Puritan time, during this time that we were being going into the age of exploration, we were going into what is this country? How do we format ourselves in here? Very little writing shows other than that. one of the things that we need to understand is what a literary period, and a literary period during this time of American literature includes the writing during that time, the genre, how it was formed, what was seen, what was experienced, what was based off of a response of her historical events, or what was the outcome of them. Okay? And during the Puritan, as we're going into the colonial period, there's a subsection of what the Puritan era is. And so the Puritan era is exactly just that. It was the colonization of Jamestown. It was the Plymouth colony. It was Puritans immigrating to America to establish themselves, but also what was happening during that time. And some of these authors, we do see them and recognize their writings. So during the Puritan era is a mixture of Protestantism and Calvinism. Doctrine, worship, simplicity to the church, Bible, theology, God, church, and state. And the effects of what happens if you step out of that. An overview of the Puritan lifestyle, we're looking at the composition of what made this group, what they looked like, how they dressed, their affairs, their timeline, what they thought on a day-to-day basis. During that time, anyone that challenged or opposed God's will was instantly looked upon or banished, or worse. They all thought the same way. They all dreamt the same way. There was no self-expression. There was no individuality. During this time, it was either God, church, state. God, church, state. You lived and breathed it. They believed in many things. And one of the things that they believed in was absolute sovereignty, human depravity, predestination, covenant theology, individualism, and reading. And we're going to look into that, what they are. Absolute sovereignty means that God exists out of time and is complete control. Nothing happens outside of his knowledge. The Puritans used sovereignty and providence interchangeably. They also believed in depravity. Human depravity or total depravity states that humans are evil because we were already evil from the fall of grace and the fall of Adam and Eve. Therefore, humans are incapable of a worthy response. So we are in need of God during this time. That creation was already tainted. And because of that, he has to interact with us. We have to go to him. It means wickedness or a nature of violence. They also believed in predestination. God in his absolute sovereignty determined who's going to go to heaven, the limited few, and who is already going to go somewhere else. This number is already fixed in that it cannot be coerced. The elect have no choice but to be saved, and the others cannot. But this is what they thought. So these were their beliefs. They also believed in covenant theology, is the core idea that Calvinism and all the influences grounding their relationship was relationship with God, civil relationships, and church organizations. They also believed in these deep consecrated promises during this time. They were middle class. They emphasized individual responsibility. They practiced everything. They interpreted the Bible. They raised that to be their core belief. So this is just an overview. It's a simple glance at to what the Puritans were during the time of the colonial period. So exactly what you think, that's what was happening. And so as you can, the next step would be to watch the structure of the colonial period. It's just a couple of minutes long. And then you go into your reading. So the first reading is The General History of Virginia, a diary excerpt from John Smith. I tried to shorten them as much as I could. I didn't want you reading a lot because there are several readings. Take your time with them. And it's his exploration. We also have Of Plymouth Plantation. All of these are available as PDFs. I tried to make them as accessible as I could. And then we also have A Model of Christian Charity by John Winthrop. If you have any questions on the readings, or if you can't read them for whatever reason, please let me know. A Letter to the Town of Providence. Bloody Tentative Persecution. Okay, and all of these are available as PDFs. If I could include audio links, I tried to. And then after you read all of those readings during the time of the week 1 folder, it does say to go into the discussion board number 2, Understanding Major Works. And then it says to just summarize each of them. Okay, so this discussion board says you are to write a summary for each of the reading. So for each reading, write about 100 words. Choose any 3 texts from the 5 that are given within the folder. So you only have to choose 3. And then it says write your own post, all the summaries included, so 100 words each, so about 300 words, as your own post, so you can number, bullet, list however you want to, and then be sure to reply to other people. And they will always tell you to reply to other people within a certain amount of words and or your own. That's where the word count resource comes in. Consider the fact that what if someone interpreted the diary of, or the excerpt, the journal of John Smith in a weird way, and you don't? What if they considered his encounters to be more naturalistic and somebody else holistic? So kind of interpret what you take from there. You are more than welcome to just summarize. You're more than welcome to give them compliments. It's what you take from there and what you learn from it. Always consider the fact that everyone has different opinions. And there goes our due date, Sunday, January 25th. And so to start a new thread, if there's already threads, this is the test for the video. And then I'm just going to type this in. If there's other replies, you are more than welcome to start replying to people. Because our discussion boards and assignments stretch out into a Sunday night, you may see less frequent postings early in the week, but some people like to get them out of the way. You're more than welcome to wait until Sunday to do your own post and reply to others, but with the intention that after 11:59 on that due date, it's considered late. So I'm going to go ahead and post. That way you see it. And then I have the word count link right here. Oh. And in case you want to go back and look at the word count link, you can always type in all your responses right here. And then it will count for you in case you want to count your words, in case you want to count your sentences, or even replies to other people. Because it may ask of you right here to reply to others within this word count, I deduct or I add, depending on how many words you meet for that requirement, which is why that is so important. And again, this is everything within the week 1, part 1 and part 2 folder. Everything at a glance that you could possibly need. The blue banner right here for the content is your go-to pointer. Click on that, familiarize yourself with that. The home page is where you can find everything needed. While you have the work to do and the calendar, always refer to the assignment due date itself and what the week folder due date is. So everything within this week folder will have a due date, and within those due dates, you have them already. Okay. At any point, if you have questions, let me know. And while I try to make it more colorful for everyone, I do understand it is a come and go class. Take your time. Not everything will be uploaded all at once, but I will try to always upload or have everything opened up early, maybe a Sunday or a Monday morning instead of having to wait till that specific day. But at any point, if you have any questions, let me know.